A fuel tank end cap that has been heavily sandblasted, and I have to try to work through all of that sandblasting to bring back that brilliant shine that you guys love to watch. First off, we're starting with a rotary sander here at about 3,000 RPM, and we have a half-inch thick foam interface pad on the backing pad, so it's double thick foam, and we're using 180 grit here. Multiple patterns, multiple directions with many sheets of sandpaper. What we're doing here is just trying to get to the bottom of those pits from the sandblasting. Honestly, they sandblasted the tanks to take the old paint off and get them prepped for the new paint. I would rather have just sanded the paint off of the existing tank, but it is what it is, and here we are working our way through it. We switched over to a random orbit sander, still using 180 grit there, but what that's going to do is flatten out your panel, and it's going to put a pattern of sanding scratches in there that are different than the rotary and help remove more material when you go back to rotary sanding. Now we're moving up to 220 grit here, so I've gotten most of the pits out, and we're ready to start stepping up through our grits to work out our scratches. Hitting it again with the rotary, and then we will chase it again with the random orbit once we get into 400. So here's 400 grit, and again, just using the high-speed rotary sander with an interface pad. If you don't use an interface pad and you tip it to put a little pressure on something, what you can do is if you stop at any given point, it can create waves in the tank or waves in the panel that you're working on. So be very conscious of where you stop on a panel when you're using high-speed rotary sanding. 600 grit, that's what we're moving up to here. Rotary sanding still at 600, and you can see that we are working our way through this. Now we've switched sandpapers. We were using Norton for the lower grits, and now we've switched up to a Klingspor because, well, I ran out of Norton because somebody didn't do inventory. Once we get that all done, we went and finished it with a DA 600 grit, and now we're moving to 6,000 RPM. We're using a Time to Shine brown compound with a Osborne yellow buff on the 6,000 RPM. The Osborne yellow, I feel they cut similar to the oranges that we used to use. They come in a 10-inch, so we buy them in a 10-inch, and it was just a move in the shop for a little more efficiency in terms of cost for the buffs. We can use those up quite a bit more, and they're just a little more cost effective. I'm not going to say they're much different at all than the other buffs we used to use, but that's what we're using, and a lot of people ask why we're using yellow buffs now. Once we get done with this, we're going to spritz this thing down with Mist-A-Spot. That's going to take off all that leftover residue from our cut compound. Here we're using an untreated with a yellow compound to give us that last little bit of cut, and then we'll do this, and then we're going to use a purple compound on the Dome flannel to finish this tank out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a like and a follow, and as always, stay grinding. Welcome back.